Good morning and welcome back. Hope everybody's doing well today. This channel, is about my journey as an owner operator, uh, owning a truck, starting my own authority, doing all that. It's the shit I go through in the hopes that, if you watch kind of my numbers and what I'm dealing with, and you watch a couple of other guys and the way that they're doing their business, um, and the numbers that they're putting out. Maybe you'll get. The hope is that you'll get a fuller picture of what you're getting into if you're looking at becoming a lease op or an owner op. It's kind of the whole point of this channel. Because depending on the market you're in, the part of the country you're in, or the commodity that you're transporting, or even how your business is structured, um, you know, there's going to be differences. And so the ultimate hope is that you can take a little bit from a couple different sources and tweak it and fine tune it to benefit you and your business, and again, just kind of give you a better idea of what you're getting into, things you should be looking for, looking into, stuff like that, right? So today is kind of a little bit of tough love, a little bit of reality. Um, I was up late last night working, and I was watching Coach's live feed. And one of the guys called in and was talking about how we need a voice in the industry, you know, and he was kind of gearing it, it sounded more like, you know, a union for the industry to get the rates up. Well, the reality is that if you're on the spot market, if you're an owner op, lease op, and you're pulling loads on the spot market, you are the voice of the industry. Your rate con is your voice. The only reason that loads coming out of Florida, pay a buck a mile or less is because guys are pulling those loads. They're telling those brokers that that's okay, that that's acceptable. Um, one thing you need to realize is if you're a lease op or an owner op, you're a business and you're doing business with other businesses, brokers, shippers, what have you. Well, the point of any business is to generate as much profit as you can, right? You're trying to generate as much profit as you can. The broker's trying to generate as much profit as they can. And on the other side of them, the shipper is trying to, increase their profits. Um, and so if guys stop hauling loads out of Florida and Texas and other parts of the country at ridiculously low rates, then eventually uh, the brokers have to go back to the shippers and say, hey, that's not going to get the load moved. You're going to have to come out of pocket more. and everybody in the chain will adapt. The shipper will charge a little bit more for their product so that they can pay the increased rate. Uh, you know, the broker is going to do what the broker does, and ultimately the rate is going to come up on the driver's end. You know, that it all gets passed along. That's, you know, economics 101. It's how the economy works, you know. But you do have a voice. The spot rate market is a relatively small sector of the industry, by and large. And again, your rate con is your voice. And unfortunately, right now, there's too many voices saying that those cheap rates are acceptable. Those cheap rates are cool. They're good. You know, so the broker and the shipper have no motivation to ever raise those rates. Um, that's just kind of the way the world works in this situation. You know, now part of being a business owner is, I guess, less crying and more growing up. You know, a harsh way to say it, but you have to learn to adapt and overcome. You know, there's always going to be fluctuations in the market. There's going to be up markets, down markets. You know, fuel's going to fluctuate. Insurance is going to fluctuate. Um, you know, the price of trucks is going to fluctuate. It's a constantly fluctuating market. And the guys that cry about it and blame their lack of profit on everybody else are the guys that are going to go out of business. Um, the guys that learn ways to adapt to the market, adapt to the situations, and still be profitable are the guys that are going to have longevity, and the guys that are going to be successful. That's any business, in any industry, you know, whether you're Coca-Cola, Pepsi, you know, Google, IBM, you know, it's the ones that adapt to market conditions are the ones that are ultimately successful in the end. And the other ones that can't adapt fall by the wayside. That's life. That's the reality. You know, a lot of guys got into the owner op lease op because there was a lot of YouTubers, you know, when the market was $3.50 and $4 a mile, um, they made it look easy. And a lot of guys just weren't realistic with themselves. You know, they look at that and they're like, oh man, it's easy. It's go buy a truck. You know, the money will pour in from the heavens. And now they're realizing that maybe they were naive. You know, I see questions all the time, you know, on Facebook and YouTube comments and live feed comment sections. You know, guys asking like ridiculous questions. It's like, dude, like, why are you even asking that? Like, you have no idea what you're getting into. It ain't for everybody, you know. There's a lot of stress involved. A lot of guys, and there's no shame in it, a lot of guys are better off being company drivers. A lot of guys aren't comfortable with a little bit of stress. A lot of guys, when the going gets tough, they want to quit and find another company to drive for. Well, when it's your truck, it's a lot harder. When it's your truck, you're kind of stuck. I can take my truck and I can go find other work to do, or like even what I do, it has its seasons. It has its ups and its downs. It has the weeks where you just want to say fuck it and, call the bank and tell them where they can pick the truck up. Um, and then most of the weeks where it's not so bad. So I guess that's the reality of it. Is it's not for everybody. And if you find yourself constantly crying about, the broker screwed me, and you know these guys over here screwed me, and these guys over here screwed me, and I can't make any money because of this, that, or the other. At the end of the day, your business is your business. It's your responsibility. It's your problem. If your business that you chose to jump into isn't paying the bills, then you really have two options. Either, dig down and figure out how to make it profitable, or walk away from your truck and go back into a company position. Just fine. A lot of guys out here listening to a lot of this stuff, a lot of these guys out here would probably be more profitable, would probably make more money um, as company drivers, because they got into it with no money down because they watched a couple of YouTubers, who ended up losing their trucks and getting out of it altogether anyway. You know, they jumped into it, no money in the bank and no money out of pocket, and now they're crying that their truck note is $4,000 a month, their trailer note is $800 a month, and they can't make no money. Well, hey, you made a mistake. You jumped into something without doing your homework and your research. You screwed yourself. It's not the broker's fault. It's not, you know, it's nobody's fault but yours. You got yourself into that position. Get yourself out of that position if you need to, and go be a company driver. Now, the second topic I want to talk about is um, the the myth of the driver shortage. Just like the rates, uh, our entire economy is based off of supply and demand. You can't have low rates and a driver shortage. It's like they don't go together, right? If there was truly a driver shortage, rates would still be at 350 a mile because you wouldn't have enough drivers to move the loads. Thus, the loads would have to pay more to be moved. So, I don't know why, but, you know, guys keep asking about the driver shortage. There's no driver shortage. It's simple economics. That's just stupid. If you hear everybody, now look, if rates were going at $4 a mile and climbing, then you could probably make an argument that yeah, there's probably a little bit of a driver shortage, and that's why the rates are so high. But yeah, no driver shortage. Not with spot market rates as cheap as they are. There's like they don't coexist. Uh, you know, again, supply and demand. Um, this fucking guy. I swear people pick the worst like parts of the road to try to pass you on these 2-lane roads. It's like they purposefully wait until I'm coming into a bend to say, "Oh, hey, let's pass this guy right now." Around a blind corner. Fucking retards. But yeah, it's kind of all I wanted to touch on today. Again, I was watching Coach's live feed, and I kind of seen those things come up, and it's easier to make a video and kind of explain my position or my opinion on them than to try to type a paragraph in. So figured I'd pop on, make a quick video. I hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're making money. Hope you're doing things and figuring out ways to make yourself and your business a little more profitable. Um, it's only going to help you long term. You know, if you can find ways to be more profitable and do okay in a bad market, in a downturn, then when the rates come back up, when workflow comes back up, when the market gets better, you're going to be on top of the world. You're already in position to capitalize on better rates, more freight, all of that kind of stuff. So it's these downturns that are the proving ground. And as far as like the cheap rates and stuff like that, it's a cycle. There's plenty of guys that came in, got in over their heads because they thought it was just go pick up a truck for zero down and the money will fall from the heavens like manna. And you know they're the guys I'm sure that are taking a lot of those cheap rates right now because they really don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just trying to cover a truck note this week. They're just trying to cover a trailer note this week, And so if that 80 cent a mile load is the only thing on the board, they're going to take it because they literally can't afford to sit there. They don't have enough money, enough revenue in for the week to cover their weekly overhead. So they have to take it. Well, eventually, sooner than later, those guys will go out of business and the rates will normalize. The rates will start coming back up because supply and demand. You're going to have less trucks in the market. You're going to have cheaper used truck rates, and spot market rates and the workflow will start to increase. It's all supply and demand. So at any rate, that's kind of my 2 cents on those two topics. Again, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're figuring out ways to pinch pennies here and there. I talked about doing my own oil changes a couple of videos ago, I think it was. I mean, that you're looking at, even with the 5-gallon buckets, probably less than 180, 175 bucks. No, I guess it'd be 185 bucks to start doing your own oil changes. And even if you're an OTR guy, um, you know, you can do that wherever you park your truck. You can do your own oil changes when you get home for home time. If you go home once a month, um, you're probably going to average somewhere around 20,000 miles a month. So if you get home every month, you can do your own oil changes and save a little bit of money, and not have to worry, that the Petro put the wrong filter on, or uh, the pilot, you know, didn't grease half of your truck, stuff like that. And I think ultimately it just makes you better at what you do. Um, Again, to me, I know if I can take the time to crawl around the truck, that's why I like greasing my own truck every other week. Because I'm doing a better inspection every other weekend. You know, as far as looking at the brakes, looking at the S cams, uh, looking at the airlines, all that stuff as I'm crawling around the truck, greasing it myself, and to that effect, or to that, whatever. Um, Even greasing your own truck, grease isn't that expensive. Go out and buy your own grease gun. You can grease your own truck every 5,000 miles, at the truck stop, at a shipper, at a receiver, while you're sitting in a dock. You keep that stuff greased with some good grease in it, and your S cams are going to last longer. Your slack adjusters are going to last you longer. Um, your kingpins aren't going to wear out. Your um, steering gearbox is going to last you longer. You're going to cut your long-term maintenance costs down by quite a bit. Uh, you know, so that's what I'm doing. That's my rant and ramble for the day. Again, you know, you chose to be a business owner. Uh, you chose to get into this life, and it's nobody else cares. That's like, people don't understand that. The world doesn't care, ultimately, because nobody knows you. And that's, again, harsh to say, but the world doesn't care if you go out of business today. The world doesn't care if you go bankrupt today. uh, you know so it's on you. You need to understand that reality, and you need to buckle down and own it. you know Learn what you need to learn. uh, Most of the shit is on YouTube in some fashion or form. uh, if not, you can find articles on Google. uh, you know the learning aspect, like, the information is not hidden somewhere anymore. You really, in today's world, it's not like you need to know a guy. Knowing a guy will help tremendously, but it's not an absolute necessity. So, I mean, hey, for some of you guys, hopefully this is a wake up call. You know, get your shit together, nut up, and handle your business. Hope you guys are doing good. I hope you found the video a little bit helpful. Um, I will talk to y'all later. Bye.